Hi everyone, today I'm going to make a comparison of a bunch of oil pastels. So I must say I'm a newbie. The only time I've ever used oil pastels were these little guys, and it was for a sgraffito project that I had. So I did a couple of little paintings where I did a gradient of different colors, and then I covered everything with black. And then I scratched the black to do my drawing. So a little bit like scratchboard in a way, but that's the extent of my experience with oil pastels. I've always wanted to try. I've always been a bit shy about it because they always looked intimidating to me for some reason. That said, I knew that at some point I would really try it out for good. And over the years, I've bought a few sets, never opened them, and finally today was the day to do so. So the first set that I got is the Niji set, which is 12 tiny little pastels. That was like $1.99, probably overpriced. It was at Ben Franklin, which is an equivalent to Michael's. So it probably is worth 50 cents, the whole thing. So there's not a big variety. There's not even a white, because this is a gray. Oh wait, no, there is a white. Never mind. And what I did actually was use them. I followed a tutorial online by Black Bean CMS, and I'll give you the link. Do check out his channel because he does the most amazing oil pastel paintings. But anyways, he's got a tutorial on how to paint eyes, and I tried it with all the pastels that I've got. And I can tell you that I did not like it at all. So this is a review of all the pastels that I've got as a newbie, but an educated newbie. I kind of figured out, what to expect from pastels. I've watched a lot of tutorials, and it's not because they don't work for me that they're not good. That said, this is junk. This is really not good. It really doesn't stick to the paper, and it's just no good. The second set that I have, and that's a very cheap set for 50 pastels, you get, I think it was about $8 or something. But I heard a lot of good things about it. These are the Pentel oil pastels. And they're also very small, very dainty. And they smell really bad. So I heard a lot of bad things because of the smell. But I loved using them. They blend together very well. And if you go see the tutorial, you'll see that all these, I never used my fingers. I blended them together. So I would put a dark blue, for instance, straight on the paper, then use a lighter blue and blend it into the darker blue, etc., etc. So all the pastels I blended into each other as I applied a new one. And they applied very well. If you get past the smell, which eventually you don't smell anymore, that's how it worked for me. I just loved how they blend. They're very saturated, and it was a pleasure to use, really. They didn't make any crumbs at all. Yeah, I really like those. Next is the Paul Rubens. So I heard a lot of good things about the Paul Rubens. They're a bit more expensive. I get a great deal buying the two sets here. I forgot how much it cost, but I'll put a link in the description box. So here, this one is 48 pastels. So remember, the Pentel is 50. This is 48, but look at the difference in sizes. They're probably twice as big. And the other set, or the other box, is all pastel colors, which, they work. It's a great extension to this set, because there's a lot more greens, a lot more blues and yellows, and it also came with a package of oil pastel paper. So let me show you how this worked. These pastels, just like the Pentel, they did not make any crumbs, which was very nice, because I do not like crumbs very much when using oil pastels. And I know I'm a newbie, but I'll explain to you in a minute. So these Paul Rubens are very, very creamy. They're super nice to apply on paper, but they're very sticky as well, which is not a bad thing. It just gives you a different style. And again, I used it the exact same way as the others, where I put on the paper, and when I used the next pastel, I just blended with the previous application. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's very textured. It's almost like impasto. I don't know if you can see it, but kind of as if I was putting thick layers with a paint knife on it. And I really like the effect of it. It doesn't look as blended as this one, for instance, but they're great. And again, no or barely any crumbs, which was great. I really like it. Just two different techniques, two different styles. Next time I use them, because they're so soft and creamy, I'll try to blend them with my finger. I might be able to get this kind of effect. We'll see. The next box that I will share with you today is the Crayola Expressionist, and those are pretty reasonable in price as well. Again, I'll leave a link in the description box so that you can check it out and see for yourself. I don't think I spent very much money on this. And it's a box of 50 again. They're a little bit bigger than the Pentel. And these are also very creamy, and they were very fun. I was able to get the same effect as with the Pentel. That said, they leave so many crumbs. I had them all over the place, and it's kind of hard to brush off. So I went over the garbage can, and I kind of, like tapped it. And then I found that a very big drafting brush helps a lot. But besides all the crumbs, I really like those as well. I feel like these are more saturated. I don't know. They look brighter, but then again, they were probably not exactly the same colors that I used. I honestly didn't look at the name of the colors on the wrappers. I just looked at the colors themselves, and then with oil pastels, I'm not even going to bother doing swatches, because I'm guessing, or it looks like the color that I'm using is what's going to be on the paper, unlike watercolors or other type of, or even colored pencils. Here you can see exactly what color you're using, so I don't need to make swatches with this. Anyways, so this was really good. So far, I like, they're all different. This I don't like at all, which kind of is to be expected, because they're really, really, really cheap and not very good quality. Now I've got two more sets to share with you. And I haven't done any drawings with those yet. I haven't done my eyes with them yet. So I'm going to do that on the next page. One is the Sennelier. So this is kind of like the Cadillac of the oil pastels. They're very expensive. I was able to get a very good deal with those on Amazon. I think I got them for $88, which is really cheap compared to what I've seen it even on Dick Blick. I think they were $115. I was upset because the following day they were $77, and it was too late for me to cancel and reorder because they had already shipped. So that's okay. It was still a really good deal. These come very well packaged. And compared to the other sets that I showed you, they also come individually. So you can, if you run out of one color, you don't have to buy the whole set again. You can just buy one color at a time. And also, if you just want to try them and not spend too much money on them, you can just buy one color at a time and give it a shot. So they're not very big. And let's compare them to the size of the Pentel, for instance. They're still bigger than the Pentel. I found out that they come in jumbo sizes. Like one jumbo size pastel is the equivalent of 8 of one little one. And it's $12. So it makes it a lot cheaper than, I think this is $4 or $5 by itself. So it would be a really good deal, like at least to get a white one, for instance, because the white is used a lot. But these are very, very creamy. They're like lipstick, basically. So when I draw my eye, I might just be very precious with it, or should I? I don't know. I'm wondering if I should still blend them the way I blended the other ones. That would be a fair comparison with the other ones. Or if I should just put it on and then blend it with my fingers. I haven't decided yet. So this test was done with the Sennelier, And I decided to do the first one by mixing the pastels the same way I did the others on this side of the paper. And then, just to see, I also did the same thing with the Sennelier pastels, blending them with my fingers, as you can see here. So they are very, very, very creamy. And compared to the other ones, I find them harder to use because, again, I'm a newbie and I've never used them before. That's the very first time. But they're so creamy that they leave a very thick layer. And as you add more and more layers, I found that it becomes a creamy mess. It's hard to add more layers on top and make the colors stand out. For this example, I didn't quite have the right colors that I needed, like I did with these. Especially like a very, very light, like kind of cloud or powder blue. I didn't have that. So I had to adjust. My dark blue was a little different too. Again, it's just a different style. It's not better or worse. I really like the fact that they are very creamy, and I think that they would be great to add some final touches. Start with the harder pastels, like the Pastels, for instance, and then add thicker layers with the Sennelier. But it's different. It's very, I find this one, for instance, very painterly. These two they all are. But I think it'll be fun to play with as well. The last set that I'm going to try are the Mungyo, and they're not here yet. I ordered them, they're on their way, and I'm going to try them because I heard they're as creamy as the Sennelier. I'm going to try them on this spade and probably kind of the same way. So hang in there, and next time you see me, I'll have the last set of pastels. I don't think I need anything after that. I think they will all work pretty well together. So I get a set of Crayola oil pastels to try them out. It's just for fun because I heard some artists saying that they're pretty good for what they are, you know, kids pastels. So it's a set of 28. I get them at Michael's for about $6, which is really good. And they're pretty big. Similar in size as the Paul Rubens. So I think that's basically the average size of a pastel. And it has a nice variety of colors. These are supposed to be a bit harder, so I'm going to go ahead and draw the eye and see how they compare. finally, there's the Mungyo Gallery. Another set of 48. This was about 20 bucks on Amazon. Depending on the country where you live, it might be a lot more expensive. Again, similar size, a little bit skinnier maybe than the Paul Rubens. They're also around a nice range of colors. These are supposed to be a lot creamier, very similar to the Sennelier, so we're going to compare that. And I think I'm going to do, like I did with the Sennelier, I'm going to do a regular blending like I did with all the other brands, and then one where I will smudge the pastels. So let's draw the eye. So in the end, if you want to try oil pastels, there is no one brand that is better than another because it really depends on what you like, your style. If you want your pastels to be very, very soft, very creamy, the Sennelier are the best for you because they're the softest of all. Then you have the harder ones like the Crayola. I will say they're the harder ones. Doesn't mean they're bad. It means that you have to work them differently. You have to push harder on them to blend them. And they do blend well. And then you have a range in between from the Paul Rubens, the Crepas, and then the Mungyo. They're all fairly soft. Some a little harder than others. Some are a little bit stickier like the Paul Rubens. The Crepas makes more residue. But they blend very well and they look very good. And that's the reason why I wanted to try them all, to find out their different qualities and what I would like best. Now my problem is that I kind of like them all, except for this one. No more. If you're looking for something to play with and have fun and practice, you probably don't need to spend a ton of money like for the Sennelier, unless you can afford it and you like something very creamy. But if you want to do something to put in a gallery that will last for a long time, or if you want to sell your artwork, then I would go with a more professional set like the Sennelier or the Mungyo, or maybe even the Paul Rubens, although we don't really know yet if these two, even though they're supposed to be professional, will be light fast and last forever. This, you know for sure. And there are a couple other brands like the Holbein oil pastels and the Caran d'Ache new pastels that are supposed to be very light fast. The pigments are very good quality and the payload is very good too. I haven't tried the Caran d'Ache or the Holbein yet because they're very, very expensive and they're pretty hard to get. Not the Caran d'Ache, but the Holbein. I will play with these first before I invest in anything else. For a final recap, and please don't take the look of it for what the quality is, because I drew these eyes so many times and on so many different occasions, on different days, that sometimes they might be better done than others. So here we have the Niji pastels. They're very cheap, not only in price but also in quality. Didn't like them. And I think a lot of people will be frustrated with them. The Pentel, very affordable, bright colors, great saturation, easy to blend. They're on the harder side, but they blend together very well. I enjoy this very much. The Paul Rubens, super creamy, tends to be a little sticky after a while, but not a bad thing. And now you can't see it very much anymore, but earlier in the video, you could see that you really can create a lot of texture with this. It's really almost like working with a palette knife. Of course, I had this and my book was closed, so it kind of squished it together. The crepasse was really nice to use as well. A little harder, similar to the Pentel, I thought, but it gave me, that's the one that gave me the most crumbs. Now we have the two softest ones. We have the Sennelier, very expensive. Mungyo, pretty affordable. These, when people say the Mungyo are very similar to the Sennelier, I said the Sennelier are, you can't compare. They are the most buttery ones. So much so that it was kind of hard to add more layers on top of each other because it was so thick. And that is the reason why I tried with the blending technique, just blending with my fingers. This is the first time I do that, so my technique is not the best. So don't blame the pastels, blame the user. The Mungyo, they worked well too. I didn't use exactly the same palette because I didn't have the same colors, but they worked great too. Not as soft, so it was kind of easier to layer them. I didn't struggle as much when I was adding more colors. Very easy to blend with my finger, no problem. Yeah, very good pastels, both of them. And then the Crayola, which was harder for sure, but it blended together very well. I think it's a little waxier and you can see that, you can see the paper through it more. So there's definitely more binder. They're not as pure as the other ones that I showed you before. But if you want to try them, even just as a first layer, they're definitely not bad. Not my first choice though. For a very cheap brand, for my technique and my preference, I would go with the Pentel. Although you gotta remember that sometimes it has a very strong smell. So if you're sensitive to strong smells, and those might not be for you. So anyways, this is my comparison between all those 7 brands. I hope you liked it. So now that I've tried these all, I'm going to play with them and you will see them in future videos. If you have a preference for any of these, or even some that aren't in this video, please tell me why you like them better. What is it that you like? I'm really curious to know from people who are used to using oil pastels, what it is that really make them enjoy using oil pastels. So that's it. Thank you all for stopping by. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're feeling very generous and you want to support this channel, please click on the thanks button right next to the share button under this video. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye. you.